This week on Zen and Not Zen, BroTime edition.
And this is where I kind of lost track of days. I think around Tuesday I lost track of days.
How do you keep track of days?
I was trying to track the food, and so I got a day behind. I thought it was like I thought it was Wednesday, and I'd hit the halfway point, but it was like Tuesday morning, and I'm like, how did I get that far off? I thought I was halfway done. I've got a whole extra day. Like, what am I going to do? Then I noticed the panic started to come. And then while I'm doing that, I'm twirling this pen, right? Just in the knuckles, twirling the pen. And then, panic, breathe, you're doing okay. And then what the fuck am I going to do with life? And then all of a sudden the pen goes flying out of my hands.
That was my one choice. It's like all those like movies where it's like, oh, well, this ain't too bad. I've got this.
Yeah,
It's like, oh,
it's like the Twilight Zone with the guy who loves to read. He's the only one left in the world, and he breaks his glasses.
Yeah. Oh,
God,
that's
exactly
I've got my books. I have my books.
BroTime.
You're gonna get this.
Prisoner of Azkaban, fucking hardback.
Yeah, they're just rolling their eyes working at a Harry Potter bar. They take it very seriously. So anyway, he kept telling me, he's like, these don't like to just be left. So if you're just gonna stick it on a shelf somewhere and ignore it, like, it's gonna build up energy, and it really doesn't like that. And I was like, you can use it for meditation, you can use it for spell work, or whatever the case may be. So anyway. So I have the Harry Potter one from Harry Potter World hanging on my wall. I have the wand from the Harry Potter bar that was an actual wand right underneath it, and tons of tchotchkes around it, like all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So I get up to get water. I close the door. Both wands fly off the shelf in the wall at the same time. Nothing else falls. And the way that they're all positioned, like if something broke or like a nail came off, like it should have taken so much else with it.
Yeah.
And it was completely dark, so I didn't know what it was. I turned on the light. One of them shattered. And then, after being spooked, I could just feel...
Like Pyrex out of the oven kind of thing?
Yeah,
You're just chilling,
totally.
And then it's just like, oh, fuck.
Tonks's wand is no more. So, yeah, one of them broke. And I was so fucking freaked out. And then all of a sudden I could just, like, see my grandmother in my mind's eye, just, like, standing there with her hand on her hip looking at me, just being like, go to bed. Go to bed. And I tried to look up, like, what it would mean, like, if a wand fell and, like, everything was, like, someone's trying to get your attention. And I was like, well, it fucking worked.
Yeah.
You didn't knock one. You walked both of them off.
Wow.
At the same time.
All right.
And they were in separate
They're
places.
made of wood?
The one that was the Harry Potter Tonks wand, that was, I think, technically, like, plastic of some kind. Oh. But the real wand is made of wood, and it has, like, a certain core that you got matched with. I can't remember what the core is.
So very reminiscent of Harry Potter.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly. And
sorting
they fill
hat.
it for you.
Hashtag
and, like,
sorting hat.
Sorting hat. No, not
so
the
those
sorting
wands
hat.
were fucking pissed.
That's interesting, and there is take malas for example,
Yeah.
or beaded jewelry, malas mainly. There's a lore behind that says, if a mala that you're wearing breaks, it means it's done its job.
It's served its course.
It's served its purpose.
Right.
But there's also ideas like medicine bags, for example. Like I have a medicine bag that I made with my shaman, and what that person told me is that if that breaks, that means like it basically saved me from something, right? Uh-huh. So all the contents in that, something charged at me, and those contents were like get fucked and said stop, but that was enough for it to break. The leather, the stitching, whatever it is, but then it's like, okay, that's no longer in use. You need to retire that thing, make a new one.
Yeah.
Champion that talisman for doing its damn job.
Right.
Right. But that's interesting.
I that was the first thing that went through my mind was like it served its course, because I remember you and Monica telling me about that with the malas.
Yep.
And I was like,
wow.
The one that broke wasn't the actual, like it was the touristy tchotchke thing that I bought. So
yeah.
I was like, maybe, I don't know, but I did have that thought of
what does that mean to you?
I don't know. I was really trying to sit with it and try to see what it meant. Like it did feel like some sort of a protection tactic of like, stop what you're doing right now. Like there was a lot of negative energy in the house because I was just like kind of spiraling in negativity. So I felt like if something was going to get my attention, like if anything else fell, I would have been like, oh, piece of shit, wall, whatever.
Right.
But the fact that it was both of those things, it got my attention and I went the fuck to bed. So like, I feel like it did serve its purpose in that way.
And the non-organic material one, the cheaper one, if you will, broke.
Right.
So
And
both get knocked down. The one that's made of artificial materials broke.
Right.
It clearly got
Ooh.
your attention, and it had to get it in a very strong way.
Did you not listen to that fucking watchful wand maker who's like, this has got a lot of
did.
Leave it on the countertop.
Yeah, he's just like, I
Every
told you to
time-
fucking go cast spells, bitch.
I know. I do.
Go to the park. Go to the park.
Where you live, come to die. Yeah, I think about that wand every time I would leave the house because it's on my way out the door, and I would look at it and like acknowledge it. Like
Yeah.
I would try to always like acknowledge its presence at the very least if I didn't use it, because I really he was so serious about it. And I was like, I don't need this bad energy. So
Did we talk
that is
about?
interesting though.
Did we talk about this last week? That there's a physics abbreviation for abracadabra. Did we talk about that?
No.
Okay, so there's like in physics and in chemistry they have all these like different terms and all this like stuff.
Kind of like the literate, like et al.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, they just like throw 'em around,
or
like,
the
everybody should know
ellipses,
'em, right?
the 3 dots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is abracadabra, and it means a broadband resonant approach to cosmic axiom detection with amplifying B field ring apparatus. So some like super nerdy dude or person was like, "We're gonna make this work," and
yeah.
champion that person because that's like in papers, in like physics documents, the abracadabra
shit.
acronym. Yeah. But that's part of that stuff is the field of belief, right? You know, and we can rationalize that, and that's great. And if you want to rationalize it, that's fine too. But like, there's a balance between getting lost in the symbolism or just seeing that there's an opportunity to have symbolism.
I shy more on the side of like kind of obviously more cynical on all of that stuff, but I do latch on to the idea of like, oh well, this particular vessel or this particular thing has served its purpose. It's run its course. It is broken. It is done or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And it is interesting, the artificial one you said broke, and the one that was rooted in, real organic materials, grounded one,
Right.
like maintained its form. And so I think that is an interesting what's
There's
going on in
old
my life.
fucking
Like,
trees.
just leave the shit that doesn't matter. This is a fake thing.
There you
This
go.
will break. This will not sustain you. This thing will ground you. This thing will. That's a
Surprised
very
you
good
didn't
point.
cancel the cast and go fucking cast some spells, bro.
No,
Can't make it
I'm
today.
gonna put that wand in a different place. I'm gonna use it every day
LARPing.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, the LARPers, man. You go down to Marymore on
Hell yeah.
Saturdays
You
at 10
actually have
a.m.
watched that shit. I
Dude,
still haven't seen it.
It's
I used to work with a guy who did it and like took it seriously, and
Good on him.
He could
Good
tell
fucking
my
on him.
line of like I'm much more of like a closeted dork, and that I like can carry on these conversations, but you wouldn't fucking know unless I'm like choosing to.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Whereas like you look at that guy, it's like, yeah, dude, where's the chainmail?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're riding dragons on the weekend, aren't you, bro?
Fucking A.
Yeah.
He
But-
took that shit seriously.
Man, I got it.
love that, though.
Yes, I do
It's
too,
good
man.
for your brain, the imagination.
Dude, sign me up for
the-
some fucking capture the flag, but it's like there's
Yeah.
no way to do that without like a fucking paintball gun or like a firearm
That's
now.
funny.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But it's like I loved that shit.
Yeah. We'll start those leagues, man. Like
Start
there's
those
enough of those
leagues.
people that want to do shit like that. And that's what that's how LARPing happened.
Yeah.
Like there's
Jesus.
enough people that played like games like Dungeons and Dragons or like loved fantasy growing up, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff that let's like get some foam swords and throw some helmets on and like act this shit out.
It can't make your
More
life
power
worse.
to you, man.
No, I
It
mean,
can't make your life
it's not
worse.
going to make your life worse. I mean, there's no, it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's not like golf saves elderly people's lives. It just gives them something to do.
Right.
Yeah. And
You know,
explore like
in between
explore
those key
passion.
parties at the '70s fucking retirement home.
Yeah, well, like part of me wishes I had the balls to do something like that in public.
LARP?
Yeah. Like if I had a passion
to
like
not
you know,
give a fuck.
not give a fuck and just
Yeah.
like be
It's
surrounded
not so
by
much that
happiness.
for me.
you know?
Like it is these guys and gals have been so entrenched in this for so many years. I feel
mean-
intimidated to show up for the first time,
Again,
being like, I don't know
I
how to
wanna
do
be-
this.
I want to be a little bit rude here. I think we can be, without being kind of insensitive to people's pronouns, assume that most of them are guys.
I
Fair
don't know. I see a lot
There
of
are
women
a
out
lot
there.
of
A lot
ladies.
of women
I mean, a lot.
recognizing.
A lot.
I would say
Yeah.
balanced. I would say balanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to
I mean,
Marymoor.
again,
Go
we're
to
not
Ren
talking.
Fair,
Okay,
dude.
no. Okay. I was on it. No, I
Same-
haven't
same
been.
kind of
Haven't
thing.
been.
Yeah,
Haven't
yeah.
been. And again, I'm not
Equal
talking
parts.
Ren Fair. I'm not saying everyone doesn't. Who doesn't love some good corsetry?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. Well, fuck. Again, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Also, a lot of queer kids those types of things. It is very entrenched in a certain demographic, and I feel like a lot of that is like, if you were able to kind of let if you're open enough to play pretend, go to Ren Fair, to just have a playful, loving way of life, like I feel like that bodes to people that are just open in all parts of their lives.
Yeah. Well, Monroe hosted.
a couple of those have been epic fails locally, like
One of the-
logistical nightmares and
Well,
shit.
they hosted a Renaissance fair, started to, over at the fairgrounds, and it's like it was packed. Like there was so fucking busy over
Because
there.
people are all about that shit.
Yeah.
Andy and I went
you know?
last year. It was fun as shit.
Yeah.
We went and watched the jousting.
See,
yeah.
I'd be
So
down
fun.
with that. I see, I'm down with that, and I'm down with like some fucking elephant ears. You know my stance on elephant ears,
Loves
but like,
elephant ears, yeah.
but I mean, I'm not gonna fucking put on the goddamn chainmail girl,
Yeah.
fucking.
Well, I think like your level of involvement is up to you,
Yes.
right? And that's why like I champion that, right? Like
Yeah.
good for
I
you
do
for
appreciate
doing
you
that.
using that word in that context.
Yeah.
I champion that.
Yeah. It's like I
Exactly.
love that for you.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
And I can so in my what comes to me in my mind of like finally being okay with stepping in towards something that may have in the beginning seemed a little too far was when I first started practicing yoga, I wore like a tank top and gym shorts.
Yeah.
And I would see these gentlemen come in with like tights on or like the tighter pants but still cloth, but 3/4 length, and I'm just like I don't feel comfortable like that, right? And that was me, right?
Right.
But I remember when I've started to like get deeper in my practice and like learning how to do like arm balances and stuff, a friend told me, if you wear pants, you have something covering your knees. So when you put your knees on the back of your arms with your bare arms, you have traction. And I'm like, okay, so if I can get over my own personal shit about wearing like
What, you
pants
wearing
of some
like fucking
sort,
Dallas Mavericks basketball shorts or
something like that, yeah, totally,
Yeah.
yeah, just like some Adidas basketball shorts,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I started like I got 3/4 inch pants
Yeah.
or 3/4 length pants, and they're not super tight, but they're like jogging pants of sorts. And I felt really uncomfortable in the beginning wearing those, but when I started to see my practice being able to advance because of this trick this person taught me, it made me more confident. And
Right.
so like it showed me that I could just like really step into this thing and be part of and understand like there's a reason for the clothing,
Yeah.
right? There's not just, people are scantily
Can't
clad
get there
dress
with
or whatever,
can't get
blah,
there
blah,
with
blah.
bike jerseys, man.
No.
Can't get there with bike
You
jerseys.
can't, because I've taken yoga classes with just like what I would work out in,
Totally.
and it goes over my face. My boobs are
Yeah.
shown because I'm upside down. There's no it's not tight enough.
Yeah.
My pants are dragging, my butt's showing. So I get
Yeah.
why yoga.
I wore a
pants are thing. I
hiking
get
shirt for the
why-
first time in Eastern Washington last week. It
Yeah.
was fucking unbelievably better. I'm just
Yeah.
like, holy shit.
This
Yeah.
is why they make those.
But I also did not recognize myself in photo because I'm just like, oh, I look like a fucking REI catalog right now.
yeah.
Granted, I'm wearing shit from REI, but it's
Right.
like along
Right.
lines of like, this is, I guess, this is what fucking 42-year-old dads who are like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, dress the part. But that again, that you're allowing yourself to reach a level that you want to within the thing that you're going towards.
It's funny,
And again,
it's
like you
like-
said, you don't have to wear the yoga,
you don't have to be
proper
head to toe
yoga.
Lululemon shit, but
Oh
like
my god,
yeah,
Lululemon! That guy's such a dipshit.
yeah,
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah, he's very racist and very size
Sexist,
phobic and all
yeah.
this shit.
Oh, is he like one of those like the Abercrombie guy who's like only hot people should wear my shit?
Well, he did say that in a way. He was making comments about plus size people not being able, making comments about not being able to fit in Lululemon's clothing, and he was basically like tough shit,
I'm not
lose
making
weight.
bigger sizes get skinnier. Basically.
Yeah,
Got it.
But the big thing that he's really known for as being a dipshit is the story came out as to why he named his company Lululemon. Because he's so racist against Asian people, and Asian people have such a hard time saying the word L or the letter L. So
Wow,
Roo
that's
Ramen.
fucking
That
cold-blooded.
yeah,
Gross.
That's
and he's like, I think to my knowledge, I've seen he's been challenged with that story, and he's like, yeah, whatever.
That's gross.
Like he doesn't
dude.
fucking care.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He,
so I've never.
He Joni Mitchell's that one.
Listen,
Well, I've
don't you
never-
bring,
Yeah,
don't you
dude.
put her side by side with that motherfucker.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't see
fucking-
Joni's like malice with that. She
fucking-
just like
Listen.
Look,
she just
love
recognizes as a black man.
Exactly.
She has been forgiven.
Exactly. Hey, Kinzie, did you to get an opportunity to read up on that Joni?
like,
It's not
literally-
good. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not great. Not great.
But that's it. I mean, it's interesting, but it is, you know, and I've thought
People
a lot
pick
about
and
that.
choose that shit. A lot of people have a tough time. And now we're going down it. Well, here we go.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. Like, that's a
Okay,
great example.
yeah.
Like, a lot of people fucking are just like, no, I'm done. I won't listen to that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't
You
gotten
know?
there with Michael Jackson, but I haven't done enough personal research. But
I
I
watched
also,
the first half of Finding Neverland. It's,
well, see, so I haven't.
yeah.
But at the same time, I don't seek out Michael Jackson's music.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not listening to
You don't
like
really need
Thriller
to.
or
You don't
anything.
really need to. You're gonna hear it.
Well, no, I mean, I don't listen. I stream my music,
Right.
so like
Yeah.
my catalog that I listen to is very stream worthy of what I'm wanting to listen to.
Right.
Now, if I'm like in a Fred Meyer or a doctor's office and I hear "Beat It," I'm not going to be like, "You need
Turn
to
it
change
off,"
this
yeah.
fucking," you know, or R. Kelly
Yeah.
remix to Ignition. Like I'll silently kind of be like, "Man,
I'm so pissed at
this
him
is
for being
such a
piece
good
of shit
song,
because I
and
love
I
that
hate
song.
that fucking guy."
God damn it.
What was absurd about the whole R. Kelly thing was that, I mean, it was very much in the public eye. Like, I remember as a kid, it was like, he was like dating Aaliyah. Like,
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
a
Like
thing.
15.
And it was like, oh, he is with, see now, apples and oranges, but like the Michael Jackson thing is like, yeah, he's hanging out with fucking kids. Like, he's hanging out with kids. And we
Right.
get into the air quote thing. But the
Yeah.
R. Kelly thing was like, no, he's laying wood to
Publicly
Aaliyah.
dating
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck, that was not okay in the 90s.
No.
Yep.
You know, Roman Polanski can't come fucking to the country because he's, you know, that
Right.
way as well.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Everyone's been fucking blowing me up at work about Beyonce and Jay-Z getting linked in with what's going on with P. Diddy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, here's the
I
honest
love
fucking
how
truth.
you're the ambassador for Joni Mitchell
And
Beyonce.
Beyonce. Come for me, it won't fucking matter. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. P. Diddy was in everybody's circle in the 90s, early 2000s, right? Like
That's
did
how he
music-
made-
Right.
Yeah.
Jimmy
So-
Page did a song with him.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
everyone is connected to this guy in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. Jay-Z is obviously connected to him in some way, shape, or
They're
form.
both in
It
New
would be
York.
wrong to not try to, especially in the similar thing, to not at least network a little bit.
Right. And whether or not people were aware of what was going on at the time,
Yeah.
whatever. Jay-Z did start hanging out with Beyonce when she was about 17, 18. He was in his late 20s. It always bothered me. It always bothered me. And
Yeah, that
this is coming
motherfucker
with
is
some-
way older than her.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who has a partner who is also about that same age gap, but we
Oh.
didn't start dating when I was 18.
Right, right.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
started dating when I was in my late 20s,
Yeah,
early
it
30s.
doesn't.
Like,
It's
that's
not
a
reminiscent of
different
that running
age gap.
scared Paul Walker vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, if Jay-Z is involved with something with P. Diddy, this will no way affect how I feel about Beyonce because it is guilt by association.
Yeah.
There is a lot of things. I also think they are not in a full-on, like, I love you marriage. I think it is we are co-parents. We are keeping this unit together. We are going to use each other's artistry to the, as
Leverage.
long as we can.
Totally.
We are going to be good partners in this way, shape, or form, but don't fucking touch me. And he goes, yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Like, I feel like that is their relationship.
You think it's like a Melania Donald kind of thing?
No,
Or
I mean,
Jada
I don't
and Will.
think they like
Yeah, Jada and
hate
Will.
each other, but I
Oh.
think like Lemonade was like, hey man, I'm pretty clear about how I felt when this went down.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like they have been coming after Jay-Z and Beyonce with this Illuminati shit for years.
Oh yeah, I remember
So
hearing about that.
it's like this is like the opportunity for them to be like, see, they're finally involved in it. And I was like, I've been hearing this for fucking 20 years. Like this is a couple of color that are people have been waiting to jump on them. So until
Yeah.
I see some kind of Epstein video proof witness, like until you start showing me some receipts, keep your mouth shut about that stuff
Oh,
because
like,
that is
like,
all
like
just
Prince
bullshit to
Andrew
me.
just with his photo with the
Yeah, like
yeah.
If there's some concrete evidence, and even if Jay-Z is involved, like Beyonce was like, she's just there. How many people do we know that have partners that we like, friends of mine that I don't like their partners? It's not that I've stopped being friends with this person because they are dating this person I don't like. Like, I will respect
Yeah.
their choices. It doesn't
That
mean I
does
have to like
suck,
their
though.
partner.
You're just like,
Right.
dude, yeah,
But this is a
someone
PSA to everybody. Quit coming after me about this Beyonce P. Diddy shit because
Yeah.
it will not affect how I feel about Beyonce whatsoever, no matter the outcome. And it's not like I'm saying like, oh, what P. Diddy did doesn't matter. That's not what I'm saying. I don't believe it until you show me some receipts. So
Right.
everyone quit fucking talking about it.
Now, understanding that I know very little about most of this shit. The
Yeah.
only thing I know about the Diddy thing is that he kind of pulled an OJ White Bronco. You know, like he hopped on his jet and flew from one area and went to Aruba or
Yeah.
some shit. And I'm like, cool, that looks.
And then he wasn't actually
yeah.
on the plane.
Yeah,
Right.
a little
Yeah.
suspect. See, I didn't even know that, but I mean, and again, not knowing much about Jay-Z either, because I'm not the biggest fan of his music. Respect, obviously, all the shit he did. But, I mean, isn't he a self-admitted crack dealer from fucking New York? So it's like questionable backgrounds even of that.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
Again,
it's
I'm
like
not
he's,
saying, I'm not demonizing all drug dealers and
No,
shit, but
like,
don't
he-
put pot and crack in the same area.
True, but like he is very vocal about his background, where he's come from, and he's also very vocal about the work he has done. So it's like,
Yeah,
how
okay,
do you
so
give
that's
this
fair.
person the grace
See, again, I
to
don't
be
know
like,
shit.
hey man, I was a kind of a piece of shit, and
Yeah.
he in his 444 album addressed all of that. Like,
Well-
hey man, I was a fucking misogynist piece of shit, and I realize that now, and
people
I have
can make amends. This is
yeah,
true.
and like maybe he has done the work, and like should he be punished for the rest of his life for being, a person that he now realizes that he doesn't even like anymore, and he has made that change. So it's like
Right.
there's a lot of factors in place. So and P. Diddy or R. Kelly, they still stand 10 toes down about what they are currently doing or have done, and
Right.
make no efforts for change. So I do give him respect and grace for the change that he is constantly trying to do.
Totally, yeah.
So everybody shut your mouths.
Right. Well, and it's dangerous too. I mean, when we had the Epstein stuff, talked about recently, there was a big thing with Aaron Rodgers talking about the possibility of Jimmy Kimmel being on that list. And
Jimmy Kimmel did not like
he
that.
got fucking and
Yeah.
rightfully so. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't just throw those accusations out because of where people are mentally
Right.
these days. They'll just take whatever they hear for face value and start going after it. And it's like that's dangerous as fuck, right?
Also, like if I was a celebrity, especially new, whatever, if I just had a guy that was like, hey, I got an island, I got a private jet, you want to come out? If I met him at a party, then like,
Yeah.
hey, a bunch of us are going, you want to go?
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck yeah. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
like doing due diligence before I go, which
Yeah.
I probably should. But
Yeah.
I would have fucking signed up to go. Like, oh, cool, free trip, and this guy's gonna fly me on a jet. Yeah.
It's tough because a lot of times, it's when I have an opinion about shit. It's like, no, I saw the article, but I didn't read it. I didn't click on it. I just saw the headline. It's like when you see that
Yeah.
shit, Aaron Rodgers says Jimmy Kimmel is, doing whatever the fuck. It's like most people will just read that and not click it and
Right.
form their opinion based on that. This
Oh
is
no,
so
Jimmy was pissed, man.
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
it was
Oh,
a good
yeah,
article. It was.
yeah.
I saw some of the clips on it too. Like he was visibly, because I mean, it basically put his family in danger.
Oh, totally.
You know,
Especially
that's-
for the world that we're living in today, and
Yeah.
everyone's just on edge and ready to
like that
pounce.
fucking pizzeria in like New York that was supposedly human trafficking or some shit. You remember
Oh,
that?
Pizzagate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that with the Hasidic Jews that were underneath it? They were coming out of the sewers.
That might have been part of it. I think that was a Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. It was the Hillary thing of I think it was QAnon guys.
Yeah,
that
QAnon,
basically said,
yeah.
hey,
Okay.
this pizzeria and this pizzeria was like, we don't even have a fucking base. What the
Gotcha,
fuck are you
okay,
doing?
all
Like,
right.
why are you here? And they all kind of stormed in, ready to save children that were being locked in the basement or whatever.
Oh my god, that's
The
fucking
basement
crazy.
that didn't exist.
Now there was a story recently that came up about all these like Hasidic Jews coming out of a sewer outside of a building, and I'm trying to find the story real quick.
Yeah, I think stuff like that starts coming out because we are in peak anti-Semitism times with what's going on with Gaza and Israel.
Yeah.
So it's just like that. All these things that start coming out is just a reflection of, like, it is giving people who are prejudiced, racist,
Yeah.
an excuse to start doing this because it will gain traction. 'Cause
Totally.
that's where. So it's just a very dangerous thing to do.
And it's interesting to witness that stuff and to
Yeah.
see stories like that and to start to like draw these lines back as to like, okay, what is this going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
What is this fueling, or what is this diverting attention from?
Yeah. What is the purpose of this? This is try to get
Right.
See, they're evil. They're evil, right? Yeah, this is why we need Christianity. We need more Christian. Yeah, it's just
Right.
bullshit.
Yeah. They.
They.
God, the ominous they.
All right, I'm ready to talk about your darkness trip.
All right.
Yeah, just straight up, like, I pretty much forgot even the particulars about it, so...
So 7 days.
Okay, so it was,
Thought it was five.
Five
5 days in
days, okay.
darkness, there for 7 days.
Okay.
So
Jesus Christ.
yeah, it was fucking cool, man.
What was day one like?
Okay, so this is a trip.
How
So,
big is the room?
Yeah.
It was bigger than this room. So I would say it's maybe like 15 by 15. So it's a decent sized room. Yeah.
Okay.
I had so got to the property, met the couple, this couple named Viv and Finpo. Finpo was like in his late 50s, maybe 60s, Viv, maybe 40s, 50s. Real sweet couple. And they brought me in, we toured the property, looked at all the places, and then they made dinner for me. We chatted, like a little check-in, so like your intentions, are you fasting? Don't recommend fasting. What do you want to eat? Kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we had a great conversation, and then they showed me back to the room and gave me kind of a rundown. We'll feed you twice a day, check on you once a day just to make sure you're alive. There's a bathroom, all this stuff, right? And then they handed me a candle, a little tea candle, and a lighter, and said, "Okay, now you turn the lights off. Here's your candle. When that candle goes out, whether you blow it out or it goes out on its own, then you'll be in darkness." And but before then, she like brought me back into the room in the area and had me wear what they call a mindfold. So basically, a complete blackout blindfold. And then just have me kind of just like experience it for a moment. Like, okay, so like think of now that you know where the room is, think about where the bed is. And you're like, oh shit, So it like gave me an opportunity to just kind of like have some experiences before I dove into it. So which is kind of cool. So the setup, Viv and Finpo were awesome. But so I got back in the room, lit the candle, checked under the bed, checked into the cabinets, all the spots the creepy things can hide, in my head, and made sure everything was safe. And then so I lit the candle and then basically hid the lighter because I was like, I don't want to have an opportunity to like freak out and grab the lighter.
Right.
And so I hid the lighter and sat down, meditated for a minute, did a little like opening prayer, just kind of like set my intentions and all that shit. And then blew the candle out. I wanted to have I wanted to be the one that did it.
Okay.
So blew out the
Because otherwise
candle.
you're just sitting there waiting for it to go
Yeah.
on, just being like, yeah.
Yeah, and I, in my head, I had this whole like Hanukkah thing.
I thought about whether I'd probably let the candle go out.
Well, in my head, I had this whole like I don't know why, like create a story in your head, right? But I had this whole Hanukkah thing going on, like it's gonna stay lit for 7 days, and I won't have any darkness, and it's gonna be some weird thing. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm blowing it out. So I blew it out.
Really, those candles stay lit for 7 days?
But I set up my room, meditation spot, yoga mat. So I basically laid out a perimeter to where I could move, right? And I knew circle sweep, like arms can move, legs can move without hitting things. Here's my water. Here's bathrooms down the hall, all that stuff. And blew out the candle, went to sleep, and I just fucking blacked out.
Yeah.
I woke up to a knock on the door. And which I thought was kind of weird because I was all just confused. But I woke up to a knock on the door, and I was like, yeah, like all groggy and shit. And Viv was the one taking care of me. She's like, hey, just check in to make sure you're not fasting. You're not fasting, are you? And I'm like, no, I'm not fasting. What day is it?
No, that's
And
what I would do, dude.
She goes, it's Monday afternoon, and I'm like.
How many days did you sleep?
Wait a minute. I went to bed at 9 o'clock at night on Saturday.
Whoa.
And slept till Monday. I didn't know what time it was. Just Monday afternoon is all she said.
That is the first thing I thought of. I was like,
you ate like 36 hours off the top, just fucking
hibernated.
How?
Holy
I have
shit.
no idea.
Like normally, if you sleep from like over 24 hours, your body is like in a shot. Like
Dude, my body was wrecked.
Like you're like it's not like you just fucking climbed Everest. You know what I'm saying? Like you normally like there's a massive recovery that your body is trying to do some shit.
Yeah. Well, that's life.
That
right?
is wild.
So
36 hours.
Yeah, 30 some odd hours. I fucking.
Do you remember waking up at all, like tossing and turning? You just you're out,
just done. But so I was like, please leave the food. I'm fucking famished.
Can I have 2 portions, please?
And I rolled out of bed and was like, okay, darkness, got it. And so that was jarring to just like remember that. But when I stood up, my body was so fucking sore because of being sleeping that long. And I think I was detoxing in some kind of way because I was like, I felt tense when I woke up.
Sure.
And my body was so sore that I couldn't even look down at my toes, let alone like kind of reach down for my toes, right? So I had a foam roller with me. So I drank some water, had the food, foam rolled out, and so as soon as I got some nourishment and a little bit of blood movement, like it started to feel better. So I was like, oh my god.
6-hour nap.
And so I ate, did a little bit of movement, and then sat down and started meditating. And I tried to get into my routine of what I thought I was going to do, which so I laid that out. And so I think I was up for about 4 hours, and so my rough routine that I had was like, there's mantras that I use on a regular basis for my healing practices, for sound baths, for my Reiki and energy work, and the way I seeded those is the ones that I use. I sat with every single day in my meditation and recited it 108 times. For 40 days in a row. And some of them I did for 90 days. So, they're very deep inside of me. I have a mala at home that I use just for mantras. Yeah. So I brought that with me, and I wanted to just kind of refresh all those mantras. So during that time, every day I had 10 mantras that I worked with. So about 1,000-ish mantras. Yeah. That I would speak every day. So I took about 4 hours for that, meditation, all that stuff. And then, and it's so interesting because there were so many things that happened. I'm still unpacking a bunch of the shit that's happened, right? Yeah. The realizations, the aha moments, the love for self, the understandings of whatever reason you're where you are for whatever reason, right? But one of the first things that really happened, so I was sitting in meditation. I just did all my mantras, so about 4 hours worth of speaking. And I was just exhausted, during one of the mantras, there's a Gayatri mantra, which one recitation of this mantra is about a minute, and you got to do it 108 times. Yeah. So you're looking at almost 2 hours worth of just speaking just one mantra. Yeah. So voice was done, and during that mantra, it's a compassion. And so I just started sobbing. During the fourth one, and I've got 100 more, right?
Damn,
I'm just just crying. But it was beautiful. It was like a release, It was for my mom, for Monica, for my dad who died, 15 years ago that I probably never processed properly, my buddy Les, all the people that had, passed in my life that aren't there anymore. And, but it was beautiful to just feel this release and just let it all go. And then so I was sitting there afterwards, and there are these Buddhist paintings called tankas. And they're not mandalas, but they're in circular form. And when you look at it, it almost kind of looks like a maze. There's a centerpiece, and there's all this other stuff going on around it. And there's usually figures depicted and scenes and stuff, and it's basically a story. Yeah. And so in this meditation, I zoomed out, and my life turned into a tanka. And I was able to look at and understand you created this life. Very purposefully, right? I left restaurants. I peeled away the alcohol in my life. I started to be a better dad. I've got time I spend with my friends. I'm doing passion projects that I love. I can argue that, my previous life was just handed to me, even though I know I built that too. I just did it in a very nonsensical way. This life I did in a very strategic way to create pockets of love and time and freedom and learning and, for myself, yet I'm still very overwhelmed by it, so it was a realization of non-egoically, but be proud of what you created because you did this on purpose.
I mean, we're sitting in a fucking office right now,
right?
Which is kind of I've been looking at this fucking Subaru Forester for the last half hour just because it's right there. But you know what I'm saying? That's still kind of an aha moment. I mean, you and I've talked more in depth in this, when you transitioned out of restaurants, because I'm still. And you are still, fortunately, in restaurants. But, it is, you have a lot to be proud of. And it was done with intention. It wasn't just kind of thrown together with some kind of...
We'll see how this works out.
Yeah. Right, yeah, or there is some luck with some shit, being in the right place, right time, knowing the right people, but also people can create that luck by putting themselves in more of those situations, and I think it's much more of that kind of thing versus kind of
right.
Yeah, I was lucky, because you're not going to rest on that either.
Right.
No, it is cool.
Yeah, so it was just kind of moving to see that, and and to take a little bit of pride in that, again, not egoically, but just be like, no, I did that, and maybe I got to clean that up over there, right? And I got to like rebuild this little area over here, right? But like overarchingly, like life is fucking cool, right?
Yeah.
So why, first off, be proud of that, but start to notice where you're stressing yourself out at, and that's again, like you've created this, and part of the creation of this is managing it all, right? And managing and understanding you. So just like really, when I do work like this, like deep, whatever work, personal work, whether it's medicine journeys or, whatever, there's always this thing when you're coming back out of the integration side of like, fuck, how am I going to integrate this fucking peacefulness into life? Because life fucking is crazy, right?
Get it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, the toaster knowledge of the silent retreat.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
was Muppets.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I take that knowledge with me every day, and
Yeah.
I wasn't
How do I
even
keep
fucking there. Like,
But it was it was an excitement. Like, and again, this is like the I guess second, third day, Monday, that this thing hit me of like, no, you're excited to get back to life. Like, there's not a woe is me, how are we gonna do this? This is like, holy shit, man, like,
You're doing it.
get back to that, and find, and put it on yourself, right? Don't be a victim. And this is on me. I'm not saying this to humanity or any of the listeners here. This is on me, right? Shit that's happened in my past, like when I like the ingrained shit that's like the subconscious shit, right? Got it, right? Trauma work, got it. We'll figure that out. That stuff's still triggering. That stuff still sucks, right?
yeah.
But things that have happened currently and recently that like might be new, quote unquote, trauma. This is me. This is me talking to me. I've learned enough about myself to understand how to get myself out of this shit, right? So stop fucking playing the goddamn victim. All right, like have your moments, feel your emotions, right? But don't deny your emotions, but don't sit in the woe is fucking me. Somebody please console me because I'm sad that I just realized that I'm a people pleaser,
Right.
and I've got to fucking now I never had a personality, blah blah blah. Okay, now get out of that shit. Understand that being a people pleaser is your superpower, and now you can move from group to group, from space to space, from whatever to whatever with ease because you've learned how to not offend people and to get your point across.
You spent your entire life learning how to be
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so like that again,
as a
that's
positive instead of
that's
a negative.
a really fucking big positive, right?
That's huge. Yeah.
And so and again, that's for me. And
Like, is that kind of not to, this isn't about that.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of it is when we're like, hey, how'd the silent retreat go, or the darkness retreat?
Yeah.
But like, I mean, is that kind of the thing? Like finding your own kind of sense of self because of the people pleasing nature of what you've done in the past and like what you did, and I used to joke about that. The Adam Real non-response is what I used to call it.
yeah.
But no, I mean, like,
No,
I didn't
totally.
really know that you were actually kind of straight. I mean, that kind of, in my mind, not to be a dick, that makes sense. That jives. But wow.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
I think there's a lot of that, and I can see that with my mom passing, for an example, right?
Yeah.
Now, I have grief coaches. I have friends that are in grief work. I have breath work that I know how to do. I have yoga for movement practices. I have meditation for deep thinking work and just movement in that kind of way, right? So, yes, it's going to be sad that mom passed away, right? That sucks because this person was huge in my life. I love her to death, right? She's fucking fey real, right?
Yeah.
But to not utilize the tools that I've created and the pathways of opportunities to connect with people is that's on me, right? And again, I know grief is very, very hard and it fucks with us and it reaches us in strange ways. And I'm not saying that like over here, like championing life, like it sucked and it hurt, but letting it hurt and then finding the support to deal with the hurt is part of that, right? That's part of the humanity side. And that's how you build those relationships, by knowing that people are going to ask you, really look at you in the eye and be like, no, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Don't give me a good and be like, oh, I bet he's not good. You know,
Right.
it's like, no, but really.
I told
You know?
I had a guy at the bar I've never seen before. I'm like, how you doing tonight? He's like, I've had better nights. And I just go, hey, I'm sorry to hear that, but I appreciate that. I think we feel obligated to sit there and everything's all fucking great. It's like, no, life sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. At the end of the night, like, have a good night. And I'm like, actually, like, Hope it improves.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like,
Right.
you know, like, it's like, he's not gonna have a fucking good night. He's like, he had a fucking sandwich and he left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the highlight of his day.
You know,
Exactly.
but it's so funny.
Somebody was
It is-
honest with me
it
for
is-
once.
No, but that's I do hate that fucking like. Oh, I'm great. It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But okay, so so beautiful stuff like that, right? But the meditation or the first night I went to sleep, not Saturday, but like so I woke up, did my things,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, okay, now I'm gonna go to bed.
Well, you think it's probably Monday night.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
You
got
got there
confused.
Saturday.
I got Saturday, yeah.
Fuck,
and
this
so
is
and I did end up getting confused, and this is like
She
part of-
hallucinate?
so okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did my meditation, was trying to stay up. I don't think I stayed up for the meal that evening, or if I did, I didn't hear it. And this is where I think my days started to get fucked up. But anyway, so I did my thing and I went to sleep because I was still tired. Even though I'd fucking hibernated, I was still tired. So I went to sleep. And okay, so we talked about this, but I don't dream. Maybe I do, but I don't remember them, right? And I'm not a very visual. I don't have a very visual imagination.
Okay.
It takes a lot for me to for you to say apple, and I'll immediately think of the word apple, and it's a lot for me to think of
Do you
what
have
an
an
apple
inner
looks like.
monologue?
I do.
Okay, but just not
Constantly.
a visual. Like if you're reading a book, do words appear in your head, or do you get like a visual of a place of like?
I'm getting better with that.
Okay.
I'm getting better. I know the opportunity.
It's
I know.
fascinating to me when I find out those things about people.
Right,
Yeah.
and I've been working
That's
on
fucking.
it for myself.
That's trippy. You fucking were able to call that out.
Yeah. I've been working on that with myself,
Yeah.
with the visual side, because it's like I know it's there.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it
That's
right
not
for
your
me.
first impulse
Yeah,
for your brain.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was very intrigued with the whole the part of the darkness stuff is that once your body's in darkness, complete darkness for about 17 to 20 hours, and that's no photons touching your skin, not just light in the eyes. Your body starts to think that it's sleeping, so it overcreates DMT, your androgenous
Oh.
DMT, so you can go into different types of hallucinogenic states.
Right.
Mine manifested in dreams.
Just fucking diving in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was falling asleep, and looking back now, I can remember the falling asleep part. And the thing that I saw was, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. There was a gold frame, and in the middle was a sledgehammer. It was kind of like the long hammer frame, but not right. It was just like this shiny frame, and I don't know what the sledgehammer meant, but so and it took me a moment, and then in my head, in my dream, I was like, oh my God, I can see that.
I can see that.
I'm dreaming. And then I was in a movie theater, and then somebody 10 rows in front stood up and said, you can see that. And I'm like, I can see that. Hey, we're dreaming. Hey. And it was like this
Full lucid dream that you were aware of.
It was so fucking funny. And then I realized that the person standing up in front of me that was having this friendly banter was one of the beings that manifests in my medicine journeys.
Yeah.
And so it was like, hey, how you been? Good to see you.
Like your metaphorical Grateful Dead bear that's just been tripping with you the entire thing.
More or less,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was like this idea of hey, we're always with you. Just remember,
Yeah.
you might not be able to remember it all the time, but just know that we're always with you. So let's go have some fun, right? And he took my hand, and it was like the old. And this is very reminiscent of my medicine journeys. It's always very rope-a-dope-ish, right? It's like, hey, look at this fun thing over here, artworks, things you've never seen before, things you could never explain again.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like pumping me full of information or pumping me full of this other stuff, right? So there was this really interesting awareness of a layer of some kind of information being given to me, but not tangibly knowing what it is, but also at the same time, this being exploring my dreams with me. And it was wake up, go back to sleep, right into it, very lucid-esque, right? It was so much fucking fun. And so I had days of that. I mean, I was so excited to go to sleep. I would go to sleep, and it would just be like, hey, welcome back. And I'm like, oh, I'm back. Oh my God, look at this. And it just it just rolled into that over and over and over again. But on the very last day, Thursday night. So I lost track of time, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But I lost track of time. I think I figured it back out about Thursday afternoon. But so Thursday night, I go to sleep, and I'm like, I get out in the morning.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. So Friday morning was when I emerged, and so was really excited about that, and what am I going to see first? And I had it planned out, but I can't wait to see and get to talk to Viv. Viv's great. She was awesome.
Real quick, the toilet was down the hall.
Yeah.
So the entire house was dark?
Yes.
But you stayed to a room for the most part.
Correct.
And then just felt your way down the hall.
Yeah, so the way it was really cool the way they had it set up. So there's my room, and adjacent to mine, just out to the left, was the second room that somebody else could sit in. So Finpo, the owner or the guy that facilitated it, ended up sitting. So I sat Saturday night. He ended up sitting like Monday night. So, but we never crossed paths. We never like ran into each other. But so the way they had it set up though was out. So out of my door, there was a couple steps, and then there's a curtain. Right. Again, everything's all black. The curtain's not there to black out any light. It's to give you like a mile marker.
Point,
right.
Yeah.
And so get to that first curtain, boom. Get to the second curtain, boom. Doors on your left. Got it. Okay. Walk in, feel the bath mat under your feet. Step forward to the second bath mat right in front of you. There's a washing machine that never ran. The wash dryer never ran while I was there, but they're there for in between. Washing machine right there. Step to the right. There's another bath mat, dryer right there. Turn right around. There's the shitter. Right. Right next to the shitter is the shower. Right. So everything was like very like you could figure it out. Right. And it was cool. It was fun. It was fun to like just kind of play around with that.
Another person in another room doing the exact same thing at that time.
Yep.
So there is a potential that you could have been like fumbling around to drop a Duke middle of this thing and run into that dude.
It's definitely there's a possibility.
That is insane to me.
But
like all this is relatively kind of like
yeah.
But like the idea of actually stumbling into somebody while I'm sitting there, well, also you probably hear him, but like
But the opportunity for that is there definitely, but the likelihood of that happening is very low.
Yeah.
Right?
Oof.
Very very low. So
Could you hear each other?
I could hear a little bit of mumbling from him because
Yeah,
he
I
was
was
using a
gonna
tape recorder or a voice recorder. But that wasn't, it wasn't sold as a silent thing.
Sure.
It was, it was all like everything that I experienced
just
was
dark.
something that I knew about, right?
Okay.
But it was fun. Like once, it was fun to like go to the bathroom and
Yeah.
like make your way down the hallway, find the maze,
Every
right?
task is an adventure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once you get to that point of like, you kind of settle into your routine, you get your things going, like there's boredom. There was a lot of boredom.
Yeah.
Like I'd be sitting there, my knees would start hurting. My voices hoarse from thousands of fucking mantras. I'm like,
I can't do
any more yoga, right? I've done some Tai Chi. That didn't feel right, But, and then so I'm like, I remember sitting there one day and just finished meditating. And I'm like, and I had a pen and paper and I had a voice recorder, but I was like making the notes and I did scribbles and shit. And I was just like twirling this pin, and this is where I kind of lost track of days. So I think around Tuesday I lost track of days.
How do you keep track of days?
I was trying to track the food.
Oh, okay.
By the time, many times I was fed, but I got lost somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I got a day behind. I thought it was like I thought it was Wednesday, and I'd hit the halfway point, but it was like Tuesday morning, and I'm like, how did I get that far off?
Your 36-hour sleep.
Holy,
That's
exactly,
how,
right?
Yeah,
And so that
fucking
But that set me into a little panic. I was like, fuck, I thought I was halfway done. I've got a whole extra day. Like, what am I going to do? So I like meditated, tried to calm myself down. But then I noticed the panic started to come. And like, what day is it really?
Right.
Like what the fuck is going on? And like, what am I going to do with all this time? And so it was like, okay, see that come up, see that story you're creating and start to like, just breathe through that. Right. I listened to a podcast on the way to there that just happened to like they were talking about this thing about the governing bodies of whatever research have done research on how many thoughts the average human has per day, and it's about 10,000. So take that or leave it, but that's the governing idea right now: 10,000 thoughts per day. If you think about yesterday, how many complete thoughts can you think of? Can you remember?
Well, I talked to that guy about everyone being fucking positively biased on how they are.
That's right. So 1 out of 10,000.
No, I mean,
let's say 100.
Yeah.
You could think of 100
Being generous.
concepts.
That's being fucking very
This is
generous.
a 0.01% of what you thought about yesterday you can remember. Why the fuck do we give it so much credence? Right? I can't even remember the
It's like
shitty things I thought about.
all-consuming
Right?
when you're in it.
Yeah.
And then
So
it's
listening to
gone.
that going
Oh,
into this,
woof.
that idea started to come up when my panic came up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not even going to remember this,
Yeah.
right? So why am I giving it so much credence now? And then while I'm doing that, I'm twirling this pen, right? Just in the knuckles, twirling the pen. And then, panic, breathe, you're doing okay. And then what the fuck am I going to do with life? And then all of a sudden the pen goes flying out of my hands. And I'm like, fuck.
That was my
What the
one
fuck?
toy. It's like all those like movies where it's like, oh well, this ain't too bad. I've got this.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
breaks.
yeah.
It's like,
Totally.
oh,
Well, it's like the
fuck.
Twilight Zone with the guy who loves to read. He's the only one left in the world, and he breaks his glasses.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly what I
that's
thought
exactly
of.
what
I've got my
happened.
books.
100%.
I have my
Yeah.
books.
But in that moment of panic and fuckness, it was like, now you have a task.
Right,
Find the pen.
right.
Holy shit. Okay, I got a game.
Because spend hours finding
What
that
the
pen.
fuck am I going to do, right? And so, like, on my hands and knees, moving around. Okay, here's the yoga mat. Here's the dresser. Here's the thing. Oh my God, I found the pen. Fucking found the pen.
Just throw it again.
And then
across
threw
the
it
room.
again.
Yeah.
And then it was like, that's what we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm bored. Go fucking play with a
Here's
pine
a
cone.
coin.
I
I'm
don't
gonna throw it in the
know.
pool. Go find
Right?
it. Yeah.
And it was so beautiful to have those moments
To
of like,
regress.
okay,
Yeah.
Air
I'm not
quote.
panicking.
Right.
I'm just bored and I
Right.
don't know what the fuck to do. So
And your
like,
mind's used to spiraling.
be a child.
And, yeah.
I sat with my legs up the wall for what seemed like hours doing the
Uh-huh.
you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, and it was funny because I remember in the literature that Viv sent over, she said, you know, like in your darkness, you might have you might regress a little bit in your age, and you might have this like very cool like reminiscent of like childhood stuff come up. And it really did, because that boredom really set in, and you don't have a phone to reach for. You don't have a vape pen to reach for. I didn't have weed to reach for. I didn't,
Yeah.
you know, I had my meditation practices.
Because we didn't have that when we were kids either, so we
Right.
just figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. But the food was really interesting
Yeah, did
for
you get
me.
some Capri Suns and shit like that?
So I found for me, the food was really hard. No, not food. Utensils were hard for me to use.
Interesting.
And
Oh,
it
yeah,
wasn't.
I'd do this and
Well,
like, get my eye caught.
it wasn't that. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the hand to mouth kind of coordination. It was just. There was just something, and it's interesting because Monica helped me unpack this afterwards. But I think what happened was like I couldn't make sense of like the tines of the fork hitting the salad, or like the vegetarian spinach thing that Viv made me, which was delicious. But I just couldn't make sense of like how this was working.
Right.
Like it just, for some reason. But there was one, I think the second or third day, and I wasn't that hungry, so I would like drink the tea. There was like, you know, I'd kind of nibble at it and then wouldn't really eat. But then one day she brought in a grilled cheese, a salad, and a cup of soup, tomato soup.
You also eat with your eyes, so it's like it's also different to eat in the
Yeah,
dark.
it was very interesting to me. But the grilled cheese, I was like, as soon as I opened the box and I felt it and I smelled it, I'm like, oh my God, fuck yeah. And just like ate the grilled cheese, cup of tomato soup, drank the tomato soup. So she caught on that like I dug that. So
Yeah.
she started serving that to me. And what I kind of put together with Mon after this is that there was so much chaos going on in my mind, in my life, because my rituals were gone, my coping mechanisms were gone, my phones, weed, all that shit was gone. It's just me, myself, meditation, blah blah blah, right? But also there wasn't a strictness to it. I could develop my own shit. Like with the Vipassana, it's like you're on their schedule,
Right.
One toaster at a time, fucker.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
But with this, it's like I'm on my own, so there's that level of like, figure it out, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But the grilled cheese and the tomato soup was the sense making in the chaos. It made sense to me. I knew this. I could do this. I could make this happen. And so like it was something to look forward to. It was something that was comforting, and it was because to me it made sense. There was a
Did you
sense
eat that shit a lot as a
it.
kid?
No, and that's the thing is I
so
didn't.
that's immediately where I go with that.
Yeah, and it did take me back to that feeling of comfort of when I was a kid,
Yeah.
even though that wasn't a
Wasn't
thing.
Star Crunches.
Right.
Yeah, or like a hot dog,
Yeah.
Oscar Mayer. But the food was great, and she gave me tea with every meal and all this shit. But overall, like it was such a fucking beautiful experience. Like but the dream, I want to get back to that last dream. So last night, the very last night, was excited to go to sleep. I wasn't sure how long my dreams are going to stick around, which they kind of have, they kind of haven't, but I know I'm having them, and I've got a dream journal I'm working on.
Yeah.
But that last night, so I went to sleep Thursday night, excited to see my dude and have a dream experience. And it was just most disgusting, horrible, fucking demonic, nasty feeling dream I've ever had. I remember having, at least. And so the way that it was, and it was presented to me, and then like the message was figured out afterwards, but it was presented to me in the idea that like, so you take the toxicness that, I mean, is white supremacy. The I don't fucking care who you are, get fucked, you're not like me, this is all like my race kind of shit, like us against them kind of shit, but human supremacy. So all of humanity acting in the way that white supremacists act right now, against nature, against animals, against the planet, against everything that's not us, right? And it was so just horrible. And the things that it was like happening, I could feel like the earth sadness and just anger and all this shit. And it was horrible. It's hard to look at. And it's very much ingrained. And it's not something I like cringe at when I see it, but it's very present.
Yeah.
And it's that reminder of like, as beautiful and as fun as this is, you also got to remember there's that balance, right? And there's work to do, right? And so there's whatever that means, I don't know. But it is a balance. It's not just all fucking funny games, right? So it was really interesting to experience that. And to come back and to just, and also to remember, there is a balance, right? So as much as I want to just
everything's like connected,
right,
too. Like it's an important part of your journey.
Yeah, and for me to feel good about sitting on my couch every morning and reading for 2 hours, I've got to feel good about the work that I do, and not that one has to justify the other in everybody's mind or in everybody's space, but in me. That's the balance that helps me understand that.
In your defense, amigo, motherfuckers spend way more time on their phones watching TV or streaming some television show every fucking day.
Yeah.
I will stand on a soapbox and tell you that everybody should do that over whatever the fuck I just described for 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, whatever it is, as long as you're not reading fucking Mein Kampf.
Right.
I mean, it's just like, again, I said this at work a couple days ago because I think we were talking about, we've talked about this kind of shit before. Nobody sees you the way you see you.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to be your own fucking worst critic and stuff, but reading on the couch for 2
only
hours a
you,
day
Adam,
is
would feel
like,
guilty
fuck,
about that.
man. I mean, Kinzie, come on. You know
That
what I
is
mean? I'm
truly-
just like, fuck, we
Not
step
only is
back
that
on that
improving
one.
your mental health,
I
it is
increased it
grounding you, it is
150%.
setting you up for success for the
Yeah.
day. It's putting you like it only.
You're not reading Mein Kampf.
like sitting
No,
for
okay.
sitting for 2 hours watching TV in the morning is not equivalent to sitting and reading a book.
Yeah.
Your brain shuts off. Your whatever you're watching, you're
Yeah.
taking in. Like it is like if I spend all day on the couch reading, I feel differently than if I spend all day on the couch watching TV.
Right.
I feel like a
Yeah.
zombie after I watch TV.
Totally.
So that is not something you should ever like feel
Right.
guilty about.
Yeah, but that's,
it's like a form of meditation.
Yeah,
Yes.
nobody
Reading
sees
is a
you the
form
way
of
you see
meditation.
you.
Right,
You
that's
know,
true,
and I know
that's
you're,
true.
we're all driven and we're all fucking quote, fuck, I don't even know what quote type A is, but it's like the present company here, we're all fucking hard workers. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I would assume that just because you don't do restaurants anymore, that extrapolates out to everything. So it's like you're not going to sit there with the fucking paddle. But again, reading a fucking book on the couch, dog.
Yeah,
it's okay.
You take that.
Yeah,
You take that.
Fuck, thank
You are
Kinzie.
allowed that.
Jeez, I mean, is
Yeah.
anyone else hearing this
Yeah,
shit?
your DMT friend Robin and Kinzie both say, all of us say, you can read on the couch for 2, even 3 hours in the morning.
Yeah,
if
that's
you
what I
like.
said.
That is
said,
okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. I need that permission sometimes.
Yes.
You know?
That is, nothing is wrong with
So,
that.
Yeah.
so you've done 2 silent retreats.
Yep.
You've done ayahuasca retreat. You've done a fucking darkness retreat. You've probably done a couple that I'm forgetting about, but those are, in my mind, the hitters of. Yeah, no, he walks the walk. Which would you? It seems to me like the fucking silent retreat was probably the hardest.
In a way, it was.
Shorter.
Well, no, the silent was 10-day.
Oh, fuck me. That was
Yeah,
10 days
10 days
long?
silent, yeah.
Oh, man, you got so many times in front of that toaster, though.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, dude, I just want to go for that.
I think probably the Vipassana was, when I look back, the hardest. But also, it was one of the first things that I did.
Yeah.
It was one of the first things that I did in that big journey of stuff. So
You've got the fucking Cub Scout sash of kind of.
Well, I was thinking, I was like, if someone who has not done that level of like inner work,
I don't have that toolkit.
going into that, I wonder what kind of experience they
probably
would
wouldn't
have.
fucking let you
like,
do it.
Spiral, would you get anything out of it?
Yeah.
Would it just be you sitting in a corner for 5 days?
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if if you had done this before you had done all of your other journeys with medicine or silent retreats, I wonder if it would still be as
impactful.
Yeah.
And totally,
Yeah.
totally. No, I've thought a lot about that because this I can say that this has had the most impact and lasting impact of the work that I've had so far. But to answer your question, I think it's because all of it was prefaced from the other work, right? And so one leads to the next. So I get okay. So I'll answer that question the best way I can. There's no set way to do this. You're called to what you're called to because you're called to it for whatever reason. So in the path, when I look back, everything presented itself to me in a way, and it took me a while to understand where that needed to happen. So for me, meditation, yoga meditation kind of first in there. Medicine journeys kind of came next. Vipassana was in there, and then the darkness stuff, right? So, but that doesn't mean that that's the way to do it, right?
Right.
You gotta do that snake venom shit down in Arizona.
The toad work was really fucking good.
See,
But
the
combo.
the toad
man.
work.
Yeah.
Oh, the combo.
Okay, so my recommendation for anybody with any of this type of work is listen to what you're being called to, right? And just because you hear something on the radio or on TV or something like that, that's not your calling. That might be the thing that sparks the interest for you to do more research. But just because somebody famous is doing some kind of work does not open the door for you to do it and justify it because Dr. Dre did ayahuasca. That means you should do ayahuasca.
Dre did ayahuasca?
Yeah, it was in an article and talked about it. It buzzed it out for a little while, and people were like, "Oh, everybody should do
Aaron
it."
Rodgers,
Will
and
Smith,
shit.
talked about going down there. Kevin Hart's, talked about it. So
It's become very like mainstream.
exactly.
Yeah.
So let that be the thing that maybe sparks your interest, but don't just do the thing because somebody else has done it. There's a lot of adverse things that can happen from these works if you're not prepared, if you're
Ready.
not constitutionally,
Like-
if you're not the space isn't
like,
held.
like I was saying earlier, like I don't fucking have that. We get into how emotional maturity I have, but like I don't have that toolkit to fucking be alone in my thoughts for that long.
Right.
Like not right now.
But
Yeah.
there's ways that people
Not
can
yet, at
support
least.
you.
Again,
in
like
those.
I gotta back off declarative statements as much as I like. I'm like,
Well,
fuck
just like-
Steely
like
Dan
he
and
was
shit
saying,
like that. But like,
timing, like not doing it before you're ready, it doesn't mean that you're never going to get to that place
Yeah.
or never be there. But if you're rushing it, that's when you get negative
holy
results.
shit.
You know?
Well, and part of this work too is yes, we're like breath work, you're unpacking shit, meditative work, you're working on yourself and all this stuff, right? But I think what really boils down, like there's like take all the spirituality away from it. Like let's look at like your intense athletic practices. Like say you work out a lot, right?
Yeah.
You have your run that you do, your lift
Yeah.
that you do, your yoga,
Yeah.
CrossFit, whatever it is, right? What it boils down to, again, strip away all the connotations of spirituality, the fucking ideology behind it. You're showing yourself you can voluntarily do hard fucking shit, right? You're taking yourself out of your comfort zone. You're showing your body, your mind that you can choose to do hard shit and you can be okay afterwards because life's gonna fucking suck sometimes. And if you don't have that reservoir built up of being able to do hard shit, when hard shit presents itself, it's gonna fucking cripple you. Again, not meaning you can't get past it and not meaning you can't build that reservoir when you're going through hard shit. But if you already have a good breath work, meditation, yoga, CrossFit, friend group, whatever practice you have, and shit goes sideways, it's there.
Yeah.
And you can lean into that instead of
Like
having to build
that
it.
photo
right?
of that little
Right.
girl on her first day of school, all prim and proper, and then like, have you seen that
No.
photo?
I
It's
don't
like
think
she's
so.
like 5 or 6. She's got her uniform on, and it's all neat, and then shows her coming back from the first day, hair's all fucked up. It's just totally it though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you guys haven't seen that?
No, I'll have
to check that
out.
I'll find that.
But and I can look at my life with that and just compare my dad's passing to my mom's passing.
Yeah.
My dad passed 15 years ago. I was an alcoholic. I didn't have yoga. I was a shitty dad. I didn't have a good path in life. And it
Yeah.
fucking sucked and
You
it
were a
crippled me.
different
And it
place.
drove
Yeah.
me deeper into a shitty place.
Yeah.
Mom passed away. It sucked. I had a better relationship with my mom, but I also had yoga. I've had breath work. I've got meditation. I've got friends. I've got outlets. I've got people that check on me now.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
all that was, you probably had a decent amount, maybe not the breath work, not that, but
Yeah.
like you had all the friends and shit, presumably 15 years ago. I got to assume.
They were there. It
have
just
a different
I wasn't in a place
perspective.
to,
But again,
to lean into that.
not getting fucked up on depressants all the time.
Right.
Alcohol is a big deal. And again, I haven't figured out the cheat code. I smoke a ton of ganj, but
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's fucking, I shudder at how I'm gonna, there's depressing shit that's happened to me, but not there's bigger ones on the horizon and stuff, and I really kind of feel not getting fucking hammered all the time has set me up to deal with that a lot better, because immediately that's where 9 out of 10 people will just go if they have that propensity anyway. It's like, okay, well, I'll have a drink and then I'll fucking think about it. It's like, oh, okay, that's gonna go well.
Right. Yeah.
At least that's the way I would rationalize it in my fucking my drunk mind. Just go, all right, well, let's go drink to the passing of this person.
Right.
Yeah.
This will be a great way to solve this problem, and then fucking 7 hours later.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that's why following those steps in your own process is important, because like you rationalizing in your own head about whatever things are happening is great. Understanding that through that process, okay, now I'm figuring me out a little bit deeper. There's this thing that just keeps kind of like stumbling me. Like, what is this thing? And I'll say this, like, you can do any kind of work. You're on your own. You can do, you don't need meditative work, or I'm sorry, you don't need like medicine work. You don't need, like, you can do all that self-reflection, do all that shit, meditation, all that stuff for yourself. Having people to help you along the way. But when you start to hit those little blocks of like, okay, so I've done this work and I've explored myself to this point, right? Like, let's say, okay, I've no more drinking, maybe smoke a lot of weed. Parents are going to die soon. Okay, so how does that make me feel? And you start to think about that. It's like, these are now you have these other opportunities and those modalities to do that deeper thinking if you want to get there, right?
Yeah.
But just first acknowledging the fact that, like, oh my God, my parents are probably going to die soon, which is, I'm assuming, what you were alluding to.
Well,
they're getting north in
yeah.
their age, it's like probably next 15, 20 years or so.
Yeah.
And that's not that far away, right?
No.
And so, like, knowing that and like having the understanding that that's a reality, and then starting to see how the emotional spectrum manifests with that. Okay, I'm feeling a lot of panic around that. Okay, how can I soften that panic? Okay, maybe we talk about it, and maybe we have a plan, and the plan that going forward can lessen the panic. I can tell you, my mom, having cancer and knowing, about a year, she lasted about a year after we found out.
Fucking quick.
But during that time, she set it all up. She contacted all of her banks. She contacted insurance companies. Like, got all her shit straight, got her shit dialed in. And so that, we didn't have to worry about that as a family. There was no panic behind, like, oh my God, what is all this shit? Like, there was one account my mom didn't account for, and that was it. And so, some of that stuff, when we can just acknowledge the fact that it's a thought, acknowledge the fact that it's a concern, and bring it to light.
And a reality.
Right?
Again, it's more along those. I mean, we've not necessarily on air, but we've talked. You and I've talked about that very thing. And it is kind of the thing. It's like, I probably think about it more than I probably should, but it's also like, not thinking about it, not preparing yourself for it isn't the fucking right solution anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but it's a fucking bridge that needs to get crossed.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the only way I can look at it now, actually, now as I fucking unpack it right now. But, like,
Right.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Good
times.
times.
But that acknowledgement that can show a lot of where you're at and help you out. But that can also start to bring in the conversation or the acknowledgement from other people too. Because if you're able to bring that out, maybe somebody else like Scott or somebody's like, oh, actually, I'm kind of concerned about that too. Maybe that's something we should talk about, and we start planning on that shit. But if, and that's a lot of that's times, like, we ruminate about these things. We're the only ones thinking about it. I got to figure out life's problems and shit. But as soon as we vocalize it, you realize that, especially if it's in your own family group, they're probably going through the same shit.
Yeah.
They're afraid to vocalize it too,
Yeah.
So, like, having these, and so again, like, these practices are really there for you to to be able to think deeper on that and have a controlled space to do it. Because like having to think deep in society and go from like fucking like your deep thoughts come into your fucking maybe right before you go to sleep and then you forget them, or when you're frustrated in traffic because that's the only time you can think about something other than what's directly in front of you.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then
which is why I love driving so much.
Right.
It's like nothing is expected of me except for what is happening right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest, like
You
one
like
of the
driving?
things
I do.
I love driving
By myself.
Really?
Fucking
I love-
you guys
I
fucking
love-
like.
yeah.
I just did a shitload. I just did a fucking road trip over to Eastern Washington last week, and I don't dislike driving, but
It calms me down.
Oh,
I
love
wouldn't
it,
I wouldn't
yeah.
say I'm like, oh fucking like
No, I love driving.
like, you know, my brother like guy, you know, and again, not trying to do this, but again, like he will be the guy who's driving the car.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those, and like
I
you know,
don't like being a passenger in cars.
So yeah, no,
I-
but
I
like you just
driving.
fucking like you just like if that's a coping mechanism. You'll get out in the car. I mean,
On
I've
my
gone
days off, I'm
for
always driving
drives.
somewhere.
Yeah.
On
Really?
my days off, I will drive somewhere. Like today, I'm going back over to Kirkland. I'll take long ways home.
Yeah, I'll do
depending
that.
on,
I'll
like,
do that if I got the day off.
Yeah, I'm always it is it's like a meditative thing. I enjoy being in my car. I don't like driving in the city. I like being on freeways or roads, but like if I have to drive in downtown Seattle, that kind of stresses me out because I have to constantly think about what's happening.
Yeah.
But if I just pop on the freeway, I know
Long
what exit I
distance.
need to go to, turn
Totally.
on my little podcast, whatever music or quiet, just
Unrelated to anything we're talking about, but back to the Judd sweatshirt that you're wearing. The
This is
fucking
my
the
podcast.
youngest Judd is having all kinds of issues. Not the
Ashley,
daughter, like meth and shit. Like
Oh, really?
Winona's daughter?
like the grand, like she's probably like 25 or some shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I know Winona's got
It's
two
it's
kids?
one of the Judds. Yeah, this great
Yeah.
radio. Hey, did you hear about one of the Judds
I
fucking
think her
up?
son dealt with some stuff too a couple years
Oh,
back.
man.
And Winona herself had dealt with a lot of stuff. She got
I remember that.
DUI, I think, or something
Yeah,
like
she
that.
had some
Yeah,
trouble
like
in the
I think
90s,
it's
yeah.
Judds, man, my dad used to fucking rock the Judds cassette
yeah, it's my
back
favorite time to listen to it in the car.
Winona
Yeah.
Judd's daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I
Wait, so Winona Judd,
yeah,
and then there's Ashley Judd.
yeah,
Yep.
and that's just that.
That's the two.
Those are the
'cause the mom
Judds.
Naomi
Those are the
passed.
Judds.
Right.
Yeah, and then Naomi was the mom. Different dads.
Naomi was the
Naomi's the mom.
Naomi and Winona were the Judds.
Judds.
Ashley Judd is just an actress. She does not sing.
Yeah.
She's just a Judd by
Judd.
a Judd by name.
A Judd by Judd.
A Judd by any other name.
Judd,
It still smells as
Judd,
sweet.
Judd.
yeah.
Yeah, so she's just an actress. She does not do anything musically.
So
She can't
this would
sing.
be. Wait, say Naomi and
So it'd be
Winona.
Naomi's granddaughter, Winona's daughter,
Yeah.
Ashley's niece.
Ashley's niece.
Yeah.
Ashley's niece.
They're all sisters. No.
Naomi's the mom.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it. This is fucking awesome.
Who's on first?
Yeah, so this will be the
So
great.
this is what would happen in your darkness. Retreat.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
the Judds lived
Judds,
up.
yeah.
The mom,
Fucking
got it.
Judds.
Oh,
Sisters.
man.
So good.
Yeah.
When you're doing the recap for the fucking. We talk about the darkness retreat, and then Robin digresses when he doesn't remember who got arrested, and then the family tree of the Judds.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode of the family tree of the Judds.
One of the many songs got stuck in my head during that experience, and some were very like moving and
Judd?
No,
Oh.
but
It's like, we could build a
but the
bridge.
funny one that was just like, God, just leave. I know you're here just to piss me off. Was the bridge from One. Darkness imprisoning me. All that I see, absolute horror. And I'm just like, why are you in there? You're just fucking with me.
Landmines have taken
You
my
are
sight.
just fucking with me.
The bridge
And even
off
even
one.
the videos, like the armless, legless torso with the little like doctor's
God,
mask.
dude.
It's like, kill me.
I didn't think. I've known you for a long time now. I didn't think you and I would ever do that.
That was like a Wayne's World moment. Yeah.
Funny, you were like without a fucking beat. Darkness.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
Dumb.
But last thing I'll say about this, and I don't remember where it tangented from, but I didn't make a note, so I wanted to get back to it. Was I think one of the things too is like we don't have to move forward with the first emotion that's present in a situation.
Yeah.
And as obvious as that sounds, that hit me like a ton of bricks when I was in that darkness. And it really put a lot of stuff in perspective, because a lot of the stuff that I feel about my own life, and this was the whole life Tonka idea, is that I'm very anxious about what I have to do next.
The fake urgency.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
the false
right?
urgency.
Like
This
tomorrow,
has to get done tonight.
right.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow, for example, I've got 4 clients back to back to back, right? And so like there's part of me that's like, why in the fuck did you schedule that? What the hell's wrong with you? That's too many clients for you. What's going on? And in the past, what I would do is I'd be like, okay, I'm with this client, but I'm nervous about the next client, because I'm like, oh my god, I got to get prepped, I got to switch the room over, I've got to do this, I got to do that, and then then I move to the next client.
Yeah.
So I'm present with the person, but not fully, right? Because I'm so anxious about what I've agreed that I have the capacity to hold.
I'm doing that right now, by the way, because I have to go do something right after this, and I'm keep looking at the clock.
Right.
Like, okay, I gotta go. I'm here, but I'm not here.
Right.
Like
So
you and I are the same person.
it's so hard, and
Yeah.
so it's like, and what it really boils down to is, you've got to trust yourself. Trust yourself that you were smart enough to make this plan, to know that you could make it work. Smart enough to know that you don't let yourself down. That if you do, it's few and far between. And it's to the point of like, when I go to bed and I set my alarm 7 o'clock, and I go to bed and my head hits the sheets and I fucking shut my eyes. And then I reach 2 minutes later for my phone to make sure that I double check that I set my alarm. That's me not trusting myself for no fucking reason at all.
Or you set 4 alarms because if one doesn't
I get
go off,
out of
then
my
the other
I
3
get
will.
out of my car and check the front door probably 5 out of 7 times I leave the house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, a mantra that I've adopted that actually has really been helping me in the last couple of weeks is I just go, I don't care. I don't care. And it's not that I don't care, but it triggers that calmness in my brain of like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. But like, I don't say it in an angry I don't care. It's just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, it might be like, oh, I don't care.
Right.
And I can feel like the panic leave my limbs. And so that has just it's just a trick in your brain. And that's how I know that it's all fucking fake.
Uh-huh.
Like it
Right.
is a fake anxiety, urgency that I am putting on myself. Because if I just spend 5 minutes just being like, it doesn't matter. It's okay. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, oh, it really doesn't matter. Okay.
And then your whole body softens.
Yeah, literally. And
shoulders.
you can feel it like melt. Like it felt like butter on my head just being like, oh, okay, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
108, I don't care. So that what I would do in the room.
There you go. There you go. When I got through my mantras many times and like just didn't have anything left, but still felt the need to sit there, I did a few times where I would just breathe 108 times. Like I'd just go around, take a breath,
Fuck.
take a breath, take a breath, and it was so fucking cool just to be that present and to have that many breaths, deep breaths in a row. Like
Yeah.
usually I'll take maybe 3 to 10 somewhere in there, conscious breathing, but 108. Just like straight breaths. And it's, and it's just reminding yourself, like, that's the medicine we're born with. Nobody has to do that for you.
Right.
That's you in there, right?
Everything
So
you need, you have.
get out of your own shit. And again, I'm not like throwing fingers at people, but like, know that you're your own healer. You can fucking figure this out, right? We might need help in the way, but it's within you, right?
You're capable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You was kind, you was smart, you was important.
Yeah.
And you can read 2 hours in the morning. Jesus Christ.
Fuck me.
Without guilt.
Yeah.
All right. I'll stop
Good
guilting
day.
myself. All right.
I
See you
said good
next
day.
time. I said good day.